Is there such a good thing as good sugar?
Mm,
Is there any such thing as good sugar?
no. People often believe that if the sugar is coming from a fruit and for example, in a fruit smoothie that they might have in the morning, that's good sugar, but that sugar that's in a cake is bad sugar. So people tend to compare these two and say, oh, well, I'm having a fruit smoothie that's good for me, but oh, that chocolate cake would be bad for me. That's a total lie. It's all the same molecules. The molecules in that fruit smoothie and the molecules in that chocolate cake are the same. It's sucrose. It's the same stuff. And your body doesn't differentiate whether the sugar is in a fruit smoothie or the sugar is in a chocolate cake. So all sugar is the same. Even, honey, agave, maple syrup, all these things that have these health halos because of marketing, it's all the same molecules. So I recommend that people just have the sugar that they like best. Don't think that one is going to be better for you than the other. And have all sugar as dessert. So that fruit smoothie, that's also dessert. It's not super healthy because it comes from fruit. It's just like the chocolate cake.
And is there such a thing as good sweeteners and bad sweeteners?
Yeah, so there's a few categories. So the ones that seem to be really fine for us are stevia, monk fruit, and allulose. The ones that have been linked to quite a few health issues are aspartame, maltitol, sucralose. So, for example, aspartame, you usually find it in soda. Whereas stevia, you might buy a little packet at home and put it in your tea. That being said, the aspartame is still better for you than the real can of Coke with the 30 grams of real sugar.
So stevia is something that I shouldn't be...
No, stevia is good. Yeah, you shouldn't be too concerned. Do you use stevia?
I don't put any sweeteners in anything. I don't put sugar in anything either. So I'm trying to stay away. When I have coffee, it's just black coffee.
You don't even eat chocolate?
Of course no. Chocolate, maybe not so much. Maybe that's not my thing, but...
What's your sweet thing?
Carrot cake. What's your sweet thing?
Oh, chocolate. I love chocolate. Like my favorite is like chocolate ice cream with a chocolate brownie and chocolate sauce and chocolate sprinkles. Anything chocolate.
That's not very glucose goddess.
Well, here's where you're wrong, Stephen. Okay. I'm actually not anti-sugar.
What are you talking about?
No, I love sugar. I eat sugar, I eat carbs all the time, but I want people to know what I know, which is how and when to eat those things.
That's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. It's really, really great to see you again.
No, but seriously, we need to learn how to eat these things because they're so delicious in a way that's less bad for our health. It's not about cutting them out. That would be a diet. I'm not pro diets. I'm pro knowledge. And I want to make sure people are not having sugar and dessert for breakfast. Sweet cereal in the morning and orange juice. That's dessert. Anyway, I'm all about just trying to empower people with the information so they don't get trapped by these marketing lies.
Are we meant to be eating the amounts of sugar that we eat, though? Because, are we meant to be eating any sugar? What does our sort of evolutionary history tell us about our relationship with glucose?
I think fruit is something we're meant to be eating, but the fruit that used to exist was less sweet and harder to digest and more fibrous. And then in terms of starches are totally fine to eat. The problem is today, most of us just eat sugar and starches. We've completely lost touch with the nice proteins and the organ meats and the fiber and the healthy fats. We're in a situation where the food landscape is so toxic and is so just starches and sugars that people are getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And it's addictive and it's cheap. So we're in a very difficult situation. And that's the situation that, the GLP-1s are trying to solve. We're in a pickle. We are in a pickle.
Are you optimistic about the pickle we're in as it relates to sugar and glucose?
I have to say yes, because the amount of transformations I see in my readers is really encouraging. People are reclaiming their health, getting power over it, understanding food again. But we've got a lot of work to do. And I can do my work educating people from the ground up on these hacks, but we also need systemic change. We need policy. We need governments to get involved. And we need to find ways to make healthier food because we're just killing the population right now. It's really terrible.
So talking about some of the consequences of a high glucose diet. One of them you mentioned earlier when we were talking about glycation is aging. Has anyone ever done any research to prove that a high glucose diet is associated or correlated with increased or accelerated aging?
I mean, yes, because we see that the people who eat the most sugar get the most diseases. right? So we see correlations, but they're not like a clinical trial. You can't take two populations and say, okay, everybody's 30 years old. We're going to give this half a healthy, no glucose spike diet and this half glucose spikes every single day. And then we'll see when they're 80, which group has aged faster. We can't do that. That's unethical. So we have to look at correlations. Mm-hmm. And we see things like if you have really high glucose levels, high insulin levels, you're more likely to get heart disease, dementia, depression, et cetera, et cetera. We have correlative studies and we understand the mechanism of the glycation.
What about the superficial signs of aging? Wrinkles.
Oh, like the wrinkles?
Skin
A lot of skincare products actually target glycation from the outside in. So they'll put like antioxidants on your skin to reduce glycation. If you're in the skincare world, you'll see glycation mentioned everywhere. What they don't do is they don't look at how to reduce glycation from the inside out, which is what I think is more interesting. And it's through food. By reducing your glucose levels, you reduce glycation. It's just like a to B. It's very simple.
So if I want to stave off wrinkles, then I should keep my glucose levels down.
Yes. And you should also avoid smoking, wear sunscreen, etc. But in terms of your diet, what you want to focus on reducing glucose spikes. Yeah, absolutely.
What about things like acne and skin conditions?
So those are more inflammatory based diseases. So eczema, psoriasis, acne, rosacea, those are expressions of inflammation going on within your body. And I like to think of the skin as a mirror to what's going on within. And so inflammation can happen through loads of different factors, but one of the factors is glucose spikes. So glucose spikes hurt our mitochondria. That creates inflammation. Then glucose spikes lead to glycation, which also leads to inflammation, and insulin release. And a lot of insulin also increases inflammation. So with every glucose spike, you're increasing inflammation within your body. And if you're susceptible to any of these skin conditions, you can have flare-ups or increase their intensity.